I can't quite remember how deep the night was. All I remember is that the desert mountains standing on both sides of the highway had gone so silent. It felt like someone had pressed their hands around their throats. Somewhere in the distance a dog was barking, maybe out of hunger, maybe out of pain, and I was slowly riding my old hardtail down State Road 47. The engine was just like me, tired, but stubborn. The wind was cold and sharp like an old memory holding a knife to my throat. I am Mason Creed. Once upon a time that name carried a little fear, a little respect, and a long trail of mistakes across the southern desert. So many mistakes that if I tried to write even half of them, the pages of this journal would run out. I was riding back to the town, the one I had sworn I would never look at again. Cole Creed, my little brother, my biggest mistake, and the heaviest scar I carry in my chest. The name of the town was Dead Man's Ridge, a place so small you could enter and leave in the same breath. I grew up there, grew up standing on a pile of wrong choices, and one day Cole and I split apart. One decision, one night, one gunshot. Back then I was on the wrong side, standing in the shadow of the wrong men, and Cole was on the right path. That night I couldn't save anything. Not the town, not my honor, not the brotherhood between Cole and me. I left the town not just to escape the place, but to escape my own guilt. But guilt is not something you can outrun. You learn to walk with it. You learn to bear its weight. After all these years, I was heading back because a small piece of paper wouldn't let me keep running. One line handwritten with a trembling hand. Mason, Cole needs you. The woman who once taught me that a man doesn't stand tall just with strength, but with the courage to forgive. Cole changed because of Mara. Because of her, there was still some light left in that town. Now Cole needed me, and that was the one thing I could no longer run from. The dust of Dead Man's Ridge recognized me like an old enemy you can't defeat, only endure. The scrapyard still stood there, storm-bent tin roofs, rusted toolboxes, and a handful of bikes that would never touch the road again. It belonged to our father. Cole ran it now, or at least I hoped he still did. As I stopped the bike, dust rose and scattered into the air, as if the town was annoyed at my return. A dog stood in front of the door, its eyes familiar but without any trust. Maybe it feared people now. I reached out my hand, and it stepped back. Just like everything else in this town, it wasn't ready to forgive me. When I pushed the door open, the darkness swallowed me whole. The smell of the garage, oil, dust, the warm metallic scent of engines, was one of the truest memories of my childhood. Mason? Mara's voice, breaking through years of distance in a single moment. She looked more tired than before, but the determination in her eyes was the same. In those same eyes I had once seen the right direction for my life, and now I saw fear hidden behind them. "Where is he?" I asked. Mara shook her head slowly. "Cole has been missing for 3 days. Something tightened inside my chest. Cole never goes missing. He gets angry, he shuts down, he stirs up storms, but he doesn't disappear." "Who?" I asked. Even my own voice sounded unfamiliar. Mara looked toward the window, toward the road. Her answer fell heavy, as if the words carried weight of their own. Not riders, not anyone from this town. This came from outside, a group. Cole tried to stop them. "What group?" I asked. She looked straight into my eyes and whispered, "The Black Dust Riders." a name that carries a reputation as bad as the desert wind itself. Wherever they go, dust rises and something disappears. How did Cole get tangled with men like that? As I thought about it, old vows inside my chest began to stir again. I may have run far, but I could never really stay away from Cole. That's the scar I could never erase. Mara spoke softly. You're the only man Cole still believed was his brother. Silence settled heavy in the air. I could hear the wind outside, as cruel as the desert and as sharp as old memories. I'll find him, I said quietly, as if the words had to fight their way out of my throat. Mara nodded. For a brief moment I saw that same light in her eyes, the light that once might have saved me, if I had wanted to be saved. My hands tightened on the handlebar. Inside my old gloves, my fingers burned, as if forgotten promises were searching for blood again. Before getting back on the road, I stood in the doorway and looked at the scrapyard one last time. Rusty metal, abandoned keys, sun-burnt papers. Everything seemed to be asking me the same question. Just because you've returned, do you think you've changed? I knew the answer, no. I hadn't changed. But one thing would have to. This time I wouldn't run. When the engine roared to life, the sound cut through the desert, like an old warrior returning to battle. I kicked up dust and rode out toward the path where my brother might be, or only his shadow. But one thing was certain, this road was taking me somewhere, either toward saving him, or toward facing my own truth. Please give me this story prompt by prompt, and this is my main character prompt. A lone man sits on his motorcycle at dusk in a quiet open field, mountains rising in the distance under a heavy blue sky. He wears a wide-brimmed cowboy hat, a rugged black leather jacket, and a dark red scarf that catches the last warm light of sunset. His expression is thoughtful and weathered, carrying the weight of old roads and older regrets. The lighting is cinematic and low, warm tones brushing across his face, while the background fades into soft blur. The atmosphere feels like modern outlaw Americana. Stillness, grit, and a sense of a man returning to a past he can't escape. Must me its control, all prompt.